Alrighty, so we're going to talk about our trip to Alaska. This is our first, hopefully, of many that we get to bring information to you. And this is more of our comprehensive video of Alaska. It was my second time to go there. This was her first. Um, we flew in and out of Anchorage. Uh, Anchorage, Juneau's okay as well. From what I've heard, I've not been there personally, but Anchorage is an incredible hub for your trip. It has all the necessities of a big city. It has all the amenities, I would say, of a big city. A lot of nice places to stay. We stayed at the Lakefront Hotel in Anchorage, which is right on Lake Hood, which is the busiest seaplane port in the world. I want to say they said something like 200 flights a day, land and take off on Lake Hood. And if you are dining there or you get lucky enough to get a room with the view of the lake, it is nice to see. No matter where you stay, Anchorage is a good place for your base. And you can go to anywhere else in Alaska. Of course, if you have a rental car, you can drive to. So that's what we'd recommend staying. So our first night, we'll kind of go, I guess, down the week. That makes it the easiest for us. So we flew in on Saturday. Of course, first thing we had to go do is go grab water and groceries for snacks for breakfast and lunch and for our hikes. Surprisingly, Anchorage wasn't that bad on prices. A couple of items were a little more expensive than normal, but it was pretty normal to what we're used to experiencing in Nashville. So we stocked up on supplies pretty much as soon as we got there, brought them all back to the hotel. And most of the part, just kind of relaxed. Got over the jet lag, so we had an early day starting on Sunday. So you want to talk about Sunday?
That was a Glacier Cruise, yes. That was a phenomenal experience. I do remember us driving down Seward Highway.
Yeah, it's Highway 1. Pretty much, if you look at the map, you have Anchorage sitting in the middle, and you got Highway 1 going north and south. Almost anything you do is going to be on this. You're just going to jump on the highway from Anchorage and go south down to Whittier, or you're going to go north up towards Denali. So the Glacier Cruise was 26 Glacier Cruise by Phillips Cruises. I want to say there's a couple different companies. There at least used to be a couple different companies that do cruises, but Phillips Cruises is by far the best. Both trips to Alaska, I did their 26 Glacier Cruise. It's about a 6.5 hour journey. Starts around noon, you get back 6:15. The meal that they have is included, along with desserts, water, tea, coffee, things like that. It's all included. And it's just a nice, it's weather independent because you have an inside seat that is in the air conditioning or in the heating or whatever the time of the year is. Once you get to the top scenery, top glaciers, you get to walk outside, take pictures, enjoy all the wildlife. This is by far the most wildlife we saw on the trip was on this cruise. What was it? Everything from sea lions to otters.
We even caught a glimpse of a black bear as well as a mountain goat. Thankfully, we had the camera that we had gotten from our wedding shower, and he was able to actually capture those sea otters.
Yeah.
It was phenomenal, and then just the glaciers, really breathtaking. I also want to suggest to dress for the weather. I mean, even if it's a sunny day, definitely bring a jacket and obviously, wear long pants and just something, to protect you in the event that it rains or if it, gets really windy, especially if you're taking pictures outside. And one thing I did learn from Joe is when you're taking pictures with your cell phone, if you're not bringing a camera with you, just make sure that you're not reaching out. We had a young lady that had dropped her phone accidentally into the glacier. Luckily, they were able to actually rescue the phone. But I highly recommend if you do bring your phone to take shots, don't reach out where it could fall into the glaciers.
And when she said she got lucky, she got extremely lucky. The water was about 300 feet deep where we were at, so if it would have went into the water, it'd been gone. This phone fell right onto a chunk of floating ice off of the glacier. And they just happened to be right beside the boat, and they were able to get a fishing net and reach down and scoop the phone off the piece of ice without it falling into the water. So extremely lucky. But yeah, that's one thing that kind of makes me, it's kind of a pet peeve of mine, or kind of just makes me like, oh, when somebody's reaching out to take a picture and they're reaching out over any ledge or anything like that, if you're going to take the picture, it's not going to make that much difference. Just take the picture inside the ledge, so if it falls, it's just right there at your feet instead of falling off a building or falling off a boat or falling off wherever you're at. But yeah, Glacier Cruise, again, highly recommend. Whittier is by itself a destination that even if you don't take the cruise, you should go visit. Interestingly enough, to get to Whittier, you're going to go through a train tunnel, which is both the trains use, and then it's also for car traffic, one way at a time. So they have red lights set up on both sides, and it's like on the hour or on the half hour, depending on which side you're on, the light will turn green, and they'll let you go for about 15 minutes, and then the light turns red again, and then it's a 45-minute red light to sit at until they open it up again. It's very interesting, a very unique situation. But yeah, Whittier's definitely worth the drive just to go check it out. Very isolated, very, very beautiful drive down south, Highway 1. Just kind of cutting in between the arm and the mountains, and it's just a beautiful scenery. It follows kind of the railroad tracks. It's really nice.
It is. And although the population is, I think, just a little over 300, there's some shops and places where you can, grab a bite to eat. Definitely, I wouldn't see myself ever residing there, but worth the trip, just like Joe had said. Especially, that's where the Glacier Cruise came out of.
Monday, we actually saw on the way down to the Glacier Cruise. This is right near Girdwood, going south on Highway 1, the Conservation Center. And we'd already seen some of the animals in the wild, but we had heard this was top of the line. You can see so many Alaskan animals that they have either rescued or whatever the situation is. This was their conservation center and had plenty of area to roam. And so mostly we want to take the drive down south again on Highway 1 because that's the most beautiful drive probably I've ever driven in the world. I mean, just ever. It is an amazing drive. So we drove down 1 again. Actually, didn't we stop in Girdwood for ice cream at like 10:30?
Yes, at 10:30 a.m. in the morning, we stopped at an ice cream shop in Girdwood. Is that how you say that?
Yeah.
And it was phenomenal. It's delicious. It was a mom and pop called the Ice Cream Shop, surprisingly. And
after getting the tux, we rested for a little bit, and then we decided to go for a hike. Now, it probably wasn't the best decision to go for a hike the day before our wedding, but we decided to go to Flat Top, which is probably the most well-known hike in Anchorage, or near the Anchorage area. Short drive, nice little parking area, decent hike, but we did go in May when there's still snow on the cap and there's still snow along the ridge line. So what would probably be a decent, moderate hike became a very hard hike because of the snow and the shoes that we were wearing. And we were just kind of going for a normal stroll, and we decided to push ourselves, see how high we could go. I'd say we probably made it 85% up. And then until we decided, you know what, it's not worth the risk anymore. We've already got to make it back down in the snow. So we were very sore from the hike the next day. It was still very enjoyable. Beautiful weather, great pictures. I loved the experience. I would love to go back and go to the top during the summer, in the future. But it was a great experience. And if you get the chance, if you're into hiking, Flat Top is definitely on the list. It's probably number one in the area for a reason.
Tuesday was the day of our wedding ceremony, and so we did drive to the name of the city.
It's the Connect River Lodge, or the Connect River Resort. We went up north about an hour, up again Highway 1. Took the helicopter. We don't really want to go too much into this because we took GoPro footage of our helicopter ride, and with some information and some of the pictures that we received, and we're gonna just do a separate video on that because it's just too much to cover in this intro Alaska video. But that's definitely, hands down, number one excursion probably I've ever done, but definitely in Alaska, the best excursion. Same thing for Wednesday. Wednesday we did the UTV riding with Snowhook Adventures. Justin and his team there were incredible, 5-star. Highly recommend anything they offer. We don't want to go too much into that because we're also doing another video, GoPro video on our UTV riding. Oddly enough, that is the first 2 times I've ever used a GoPro in my life, was those 2 days. Hopefully the quality's decent, the camera works okay. We're hoping it'll get better in the future, but we brought the GoPro with some of our wedding funds, and that's, yeah, it's a great investment. We'll have to keep playing with it and getting better with it, but that's the first 2 videos I've ever recorded with a GoPro, so hopefully you enjoy them, even though the quality is probably not the best with the camera work. And Thursday was the day. We had mid-50s and sunny pretty much every day, except for Thursday. Thursday was a little overcast, light rain, a little colder, but we didn't want to stay indoors. We looked at stuff to do. We were like, we got to get out and drive. We got to drive. I hope I'm saying it right, at Klutna Lake. If not, that's about how it's pronounced. It's a little bit north again of Anchorage, and we wish we could have been there, sun shining, beautiful day, because it was gorgeous. This lake in the middle of the mountains, up at a higher elevation, it just, very beautiful place. We wish we could have seen it during the sun, but at least the rain stopped long enough for us to get out, take some pictures, enjoy it, walk around the lake, skip some rocks on the lake, which is I just love to go find some flat stones and skip them on the lake just to say, hey, I skipped rocks on a glacier pond in the mountains. I mean, it's just, I don't know, it was just me being silly, I guess, but.
Yeah, very beautiful view. Worth taking that drive, in some spots where people can actually, we caught a glimpse of a pair trying to kayak on this windy day, and just a group trying to kayak the lake as well too. And like Joe said, I wish the weather was sunshine, clear skies, where we can actually go for a hike and just kind of view the actual lake some more. But definitely worth the drive.